Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving straight into one of the most terrifying things parents hear about, baby brain pressure. We're going to separate the actual, hard medical facts from the online myths. If you're a parent, you absolutely know that late-night anxiety, so let's get right to the bottom of this.
You know the drill. You're scrolling online at 2 a.m., or maybe a well-meaning relative drops a massive bombshell on you like, hey, your baby is restless because of pressure in the brain, or your child sleeps badly because of increased intracranial pressure. I mean, those are incredibly scary things to hear when you're already running on zero sleep. It's completely natural to just freeze up and panic when you see those terms.
So that begs the question, when does this brain pressure actually become a real medical problem? Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the most surprising truth right off the bat. A child who is smiling, playing, eating, and just interacting with the world, they are almost never suffering from a dangerous increase in skull pressure. It just doesn't work that way.
Section 1. The protected brain and cerebrospinal fluid. Let's look at the science to see why this pressure isn't always a crisis. The human brain is literally one of the most protected organs in the entire body.
Inside that skull, the brain is completely floating in this special liquid called cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF for short. And this fluid has some massive jobs. It acts like a shock absorber, delivers vital nutrients, flushes out waste, and keeps the whole environment totally stable. Now, because this incredibly important fluid is packed inside a tightly closed space, the skull, it naturally creates a certain amount of physical pressure. And that right there is exactly what we call intracranial pressure. The cool thing is, the body naturally manages this pressure all on its own, every single day. Think about it. When a baby simply cries, coughs, strains to poop, or just gets really physically active, the pressure inside their head temporarily spikes. It goes up. But the second the baby calms down, boom, the pressure drops right back to normal. These are temporary, perfectly safe, and just 100% normal everyday bodily functions.
Section 2. The biggest misunderstanding. This brings us to the massive confusion parents face regarding how this pressure is even measured.
See, a lot of folks imagine intracranial pressure is kind of like blood pressure, but it's really not. Blood pressure is super easy to check, right? You just slap a cuff on an arm and get a clear number on a screen. Intracranial pressure is the exact opposite. There's absolutely no quick magic device you can just put on a kid's forehead to instantly read their brain pressure. The whole idea that a doctor can just quickly check it during a standard routine office visit is a complete illusion.
The harsh reality is that measuring true, actual intracranial pressure requires some serious, highly invasive medical procedures. We are talking about spinal fluid taps or literally inserting a monitor during actual brain surgery. Because the only reliable ways to measure it are so incredibly intense, any casual diagnosis you hear that's based solely on a baby being fussy or having a rough night of sleep, you should be highly suspect of that.
Section 3. Normal development or medical myth. Let's talk about the everyday things parents worry about when it comes to their babies.
Parents are constantly worrying about things like visible head veins, quivering lips, jerky head movements, or just a lot of crying. But remember, a baby's nervous system is developing at lightning speed. Let's actually tackle a super common myth head-on. The myth goes that a large, soft spot on a baby's head, the fontanelle, automatically screams danger or high brain pressure. The actual fact? That soft spot is just there to give the skull flexibility while the baby's brain grows. Doctors don't just look at a large soft spot and hit the panic button. They evaluate head growth over time, the baby's overall health, their behavior, and key neurological signs all together as a big picture. A single large measurement on its own doesn't automatically mean something is wrong.
And here's another huge source of anxiety: head circumference. The myth is that a big head equals dangerous brain pressure. The fact? Genetics play a massive role here. Kids aren't just popping out of a factory from a single standard mold. Before you start panicking over a tape measure, sometimes the absolute best diagnostic tool is just flipping through mom and dad's childhood photos. Chances are, a bigger head is just a family treat passed right down the genetic line.
Section 4. True medical emergencies. Let's clearly define what actually causes a dangerous increase in pressure. The things that cause real, medically significant increased intracranial pressure are definitely not your run-of-the-mill childhood issues. We are talking about severe head injuries, brain tumors, incredibly serious infections like meningitis or encephalitis, or congenital conditions that actually block the spinal fluid from circulating properly. True increased intracranial pressure is a major, serious medical emergency. The kids suffering from these conditions aren't just a little fussy, they are usually very, very sick. There's just a stark, night-and-day contrast between healthy growth and actual medical danger. Normal development means you've got kids who are energetic, maybe terrible at sleeping, super emotional, or easily distracted. That's literally just the definition of being a growing baby. On the flip side, the real warning signs of dangerous pressure are severe. We're looking at drastic changes in consciousness, repeated and forceful vomiting, seizures, vision problems, and just relentless, severe headaches. An active baby who is just having a cranky day is miles away from a severely ill child who is actually showing those abnormal neurological signs.
Section 5. Finding peace of mind. Because finding peace as a parent is absolutely vital when navigating all of this information.
It's completely natural to want to protect your kids. So, when a baby is crying for hours, parents are desperate for an explanation. Which is exactly why a complex, scary-sounding medical term like intracranial pressure wrongly becomes this catch-all excuse for perfectly normal, exhausting baby behavior. And because this term gets thrown around so much, a whole sketchy industry of fake fixes has popped up. Let me be crystal clear here. There are absolutely no special diets, no magic vitamins, no specific head massages, and no supplements that treat imaginary intracranial pressure. You literally cannot treat a disease that doesn't exist. Please do not waste your time, your money, or your sanity on remedies promising to fix something that isn't even broken.
For a healthy growing kid, the best medicine out there is beautifully simple. It's time and it's patience, it's proper nutrition, and trying to build some healthy sleep routines. But most importantly, it's just love and careful observation. Children are not these fragile, broken machines that need constant troubleshooting and fine-tuning. More often than not, the healthiest and absolute best thing you can do as a parent is just take a deep breath, try to relax, and enjoy watching your kid discover the world.
I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful thought. Understanding medicine means knowing not only what diseases exist, but also what diseases do not. A true medical diagnosis should explain a real, concrete medical problem, right? It shouldn't just be used to slap a terrifying scientific-sounding label onto totally normal, everyday childhood behavior. Keep observing, keep loving them, and remember that an active, smiling kid is almost always a healthy kid. But that leaves us with a vital question to ponder. Next time you hear some scary medical term being thrown around casually online, will you be able to spot whether they're actually talking about a real illness or just pathologizing normal childhood? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this brought you some well-deserved peace of mind.